husband and wife, partners in life, family and business.
Through the ups and downs, we've overcome. God as a witness.
From the household of faith to real estate to what's happening now.
We've got something to talk about. So for the next few moments, please allow us
to bring you something you can feel.
It's time for the real talk about real life. Nothing but real. Wanna tell the truth, it's on design. Let's be real. Join in, tell your friends, 'cause every now and then we all need a reality check with the Adolphs.
Welcome to Reality Check with the Adolphs.
And we're the Adolphs.
I'm Willie Adolph.
And I'm Tequila Adolph. And on today's episode, we have our special guest, Stefani Wille, and we're all gonna find out what is keto all about. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Reality Check with the Adolphs.
And this part of the show, we have a question of the week. How do we get those questions of the week? Well, we take them from our Facebook page where we ask the question and then you give an answer. And then we also ask you to ask us questions so we can discuss them on the show.
Exactly.
This week's question is, how many bottles of water do you drink each day? How many bottles of water do you drink there?
Refillables or?
Just, when you empty a bottle and put it in and then refill it and empty another one. How many?
In a cup?
I said bottle.
Well, if I take the bottle and put it in a Yeti with some ice?
How many bottles do you, Willie Adolph, drink in a day?
Probably about 4, 5.
Okay, that's too small. I would probably have 4 to 5 before I come home from the gym in the morning. So before 9 o'clock, I've already had like 4 bottles of water. Mm-hmm. By the end of the day, I would have 10 to 12 bottles of water throughout my day, along with Gatorade and anything that can build up my electrolytes. So I drink water.
Awesome.
Because you need to drink more.
I do drink.
There's a lot of health benefits in drinking water, but it's just something you got to do, guys. Your body is made of water. You know that your body can survive longer without food than it can without water?
Yes.
You just yes, no answers. What's wrong with you today?
You asked a question, I said yes. So when you ask a question, I give an answer. It's not an answer you want to hear. Now you want to...
Okay. We only have a few minutes. Yeah. From the Facebook fans, we have 8 to 9 bottles, 2 1-liter bottles, that's a lot, 4 to 5 16-ounce bottles, and that's the average size bottle, is 16 ounces. One person said that she can barely drink 1 bottle of water.
Wow.
2 to 3 liters a day, 10 or more, 6 or more, 5 to 6, 4 to 6. That's kind of the average, 6 to 8 of everybody. Somebody even said that must have been your friend.
Not enough.
The top three things that we want you to remember of why you need to drink water is it flushes out your body, so it keeps everything moving and jiving in the right way. It regulates your body temperature. And the last thing, it helps your brain function. Could be the reason why I'm smarter than you.
Probably.
I don't know if that was a compliment or not.
You said.
Guys, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Reality Check with the Adolphs, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Welcome to Reality Check with the Adolphs, and we're the Adolphs.
Yes, and today's episode is about healthy eating. And you guys have all these different diets and things you should try and not try. Well, this particular change of lifestyle, I wanted to speak with Stefani Wille. Thank you for coming, Stefani.
Thank you for having me.
We wanted to know a little bit about you.
Okay, so I am a 36-year-old mom of 3 boys, married, Christ follower. I own Kakes Keto Bakery and Coffee. So I'm just kind of out here living my best mom life, trying to run a business, a lot like you. So,
yeah, and we appreciate you. A lot of people seem to take being a mompreneur for granted, but it's actually 2 jobs in one.
It is 2 jobs in one, especially with the last year with COVID. We had sometimes upwards of 4 or 5 kids between me and my staff in my lobby doing online virtual learning while we were running the restaurant and getting catering orders out simultaneously. So we all joined forces. It takes a village, and we super mommed it together. So
Wow,
That's awesome.
yeah.
that is awesome. Now you're talking about keto cakes.
Yes.
What is actually keto cakes, and is that connected to the ketogenic diet?
So yeah, a lot of people like to say, hey, this food is keto. Food on its own can't be keto. Keto is just short for ketosis. Being in a state of ketosis is just kind of what your body does when it transitions from having insulin spikes and using sugar for fuel to using fat for fuel. So when your body has a lot of ketones and it's in ketosis, it is now burning fat for fuel. You get there by reducing the amount of sugar in your diet and reducing your net carbs, usually to under 20 net carbs per day. The longer you've been in keto, and once you're on maintenance, some people can increase that to 40 or 50 even. But to start, that's usually the standard. So it's just about changing what fuel you're using in your body. And, you know, for people that are really strict keto, that are trying to get all of the inflammation out of their diet, there's nowhere convenient to go to get a breakfast sandwich, to grab a parfait, to grab a cupcake, to get a custom wedding cake or a custom birthday cake or a hot pretzel or a cup of coffee. So it's really just about providing that convenience and not sacrificing the integrity of the products.
Okay, so why keto? Why not just do a regular bakery?
So the reason that I started doing keto in the first place is because I have a son that's on the spectrum. He has Asperger's, which is a form of autism. He's an incredibly smart kid, but he really struggles with the sensory issues, the way clothing feels on his body, the stimming behaviors. For him, it's a lot of clapping, a lot of yelling. And I watched The Magic Pill on Amazon. If you guys haven't watched that movie, I vouch for it. I'm not getting paid to say that. It's just a great movie. And they had a girl who was on the spectrum who was so severely, I don't know how to explain it. She was nonverbal autistic, and far worse than where my son is at in the spectrum. But they removed the inflammation from her diet. They went to a ketogenic diet with her, and she slowly started to regain some of these skills, some of the ability to communicate, some of the stimming behaviors curtailed and things like that. So as a family, we just made the decision we're going to do this as a family. It's just incredible to see how making those healthy changes have then impacted our whole life. And so, you know, my husband and I like to joke that I started making custom keto cakes to supply my almond flour habit because it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I just saw a need. This was never about trying to get customers in the door as much as it was, hey, how can we fill a need that's out there? I know that there's people out there that struggle with the same things that we do. And so when we looked and looked and looked for a solution and we couldn't find it, we just prayed about it and decided, let's just be the solution. Let's just open this business and let's be there for other families.
Wow.
So outside of just the keto products, we're also completely gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
Keto is not necessarily synonymous with gluten-free. You'll find a lot of keto products on the market that have vital wheat gluten in them. We are 100% gluten-free dedicated kitchen. We also do top 8 allergy-friendly stuff. We do stuff that's nut-free. We will do things that are dairy-free and egg-free,
Wow.
just to really accommodate a variety of nutritional needs.
Gluten-free, what does that mean?
So gluten is a binding agent that's in wheat, right? It's what gives your bread that delicious, fluffy, sexy texture, you just want to bite into it. Gluten is an inflammatory. And for people that are celiac, people that have gluten sensitivities, it can cause everything from hives to gastrointestinal issues. Now, what I've found as I've been doing keto over the last couple of years, I never thought that I was gluten intolerant until I got gluten out of my diet. And now if I go to eat that sexy bread in that clear bag, I'm going to have an upset stomach for the next 48 hours.
Oh my goodness.
The aches and the pains and the joints come back. A lot of people ask me, why are there so many people with gluten sensitivities now? We all ate Wonder Bread in 1975 and nobody died. And I think the reality is that there were probably people that had sensitivities then. We just didn't have the science to back up some of the symptoms that we're experiencing now. The other thing is that I feel like our food is a lot more processed. There's a lot more chemicals in our food now than there were even 30 years ago, even since I was a kid. So, with all of that being said, it's easier to just remove ourselves from the processed food and to start eating a whole, more plant-based and meat-based diet. So even the meat that my family consumes is going to be free-range chicken, antibiotic-free, hormone-free as much as humanly possible. And I'm sorry, where I was going with that was just that, we tend to focus as a society on weight loss and not wellness.
Yes.
And
yes.
So one thing that I try and get through to our guests in our restaurant, family, friends, is it's like, yeah, so we do keto, all right? I believe in it, but this is not about bacon, mayonnaise, and avocado diet, all right? This isn't, let's pump up the cholesterol and shed the pounds. I believe the nutrition beyond the macros, and so that even translates into what we actually do at our bakery, right? We look at the whole foods, we look at the organic foods, we look at, minimizing the amount of food coloring that's used, trying to use as much non-GMO as possible. All of those things matter, because when you start taking things out of your diet, when you start reducing the variety of foods you have going in, the quality of what goes in is even more important.
Yeah.
It needs to cover a lot more bases. So.
That's why a lot of people, when they say, oh, I hardly eat, but I can't lose weight. Well, because you still got to put in that fuel. Yes. And it just, like you said, it has to be that quality fuel.
It has to be quality fuel.
And then when you hear keto, you don't think of wellness. You think of, because I guess society painted it as a weight loss. I guess something similar to the Atkins diet.
To the Atkins diet, yeah.
So, it's, I tried it. It lasted for probably, an hour.
It's because we didn't do it together. I was just like, that's another diet. I didn't know the concept of it. That's like, that's another diet. I'm not doing it with you.
There's the fad diet, keto. And I will speak out against that all day long. It's a false religion, all right? I'm here to preach the gospel of healthy living. And I don't mean that in a sacrilegious way.
Okay? Tell it.
But the reality is there's a sustainable way to do a low-carb, sugar-free diet that will work for you and your family long-term. And you have to figure out what that is. My husband struggles with his cholesterol. He cannot do the bacon and eggs keto diet, okay? He does more lean meats. He does more green vegetables. We have to add in things like coconut oil and ghee to get the healthy amount of fats in there for him. We have to do those things, but it's sustainable for us. I know that if I run 5 miles, if I want to have a quarter cup of quinoa and I want a carb cycle, I can do that, and it's not going to throw me out of ketosis. You have to do what works for your body, all right? And I know, okay, all the haters, I know I just said a quarter cup of quinoa. All right, don't judge me. All right, I know that goes against the official keto Bible, but I'm a real person. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you either. There's been times that the kids have an event, and I take them to Ritter's frozen custard, and I'm looking over my shoulder, going, "Oh gosh, who am I going to run into? Are we just going to act like Baptists at a liquor store? Just keep walking by each other?" But
exactly.
we're just real people doing the best we can. And so, if that means increasing some of the fruit content in our house, having those berries, with some homemade whipped cream or whatever for dessert, who cares? Do it. It's because it's about health. It's not just about getting skinny.
And that's so awesome that you changed the whole household. We're going to ask for a few more tips right after this commercial.
Welcome back to Reality Check with the Adolphs.
And we're the Adolphs. And on today's episode, we have Stefani Wille with us. And she's talking about how to incorporate a ketogenic diet in your lifestyle and also gluten-free. So we talked about ketogenic, we talked about gluten-free. Mm-hmm. What else? You also said about dairy-free.
Yeah, you'd be surprised that a lot of people that have one food sensitivity have multiple food sensitivities. And this is really just stems from market research. So my son is lactose intolerant, so we do a lot of dairy-free for him. But we all know that with traditional keto stuff, it's very high in dairy.
Cheese, cottage cheese,
okay.
all of that.
And you had one of those parfaits when you were at the bakery. Like they have dairy in them. We have lots of stuff with a lot of really good quality full-fat dairy. But as I'm reaching out to the celiac community, I'm realizing that a lot of people that are celiac are also lactose intolerant. So we decided to incorporate in our menu a separate menu. So we have our regular keto menu, our full-fat, low-carb, sugar-free menu that I advocate for so strongly, but we also have a gluten-free, dairy-free menu, just to really kind of reach out and be able to meet our needs of our customers right where they're at. But yeah, it's fascinating to me how dairy can really just mess with some people, and other people it's so great for them.
Yeah, that's on my personal level. I've had a lot of inflammatory digestional issues, and this is the last thing they told me. I went, last month that no dairy, and I was just like, I love pizza.
I know. So I got rid of dairy because my oldest, again, lactose intolerant. So now imagine, just to put yourself in my shoes. We went from boxes of Annie's mac and cheese and DiGiorno pizzas to we're now low carb, sugar-free, gluten-free, dairy-free. And I'm standing in my kitchen with kids especially an autistic kid with food aversions going, holy crud, what am I going to do? I'm supposed to make air into chocolate cake. Like, how is this going to work? So a lot of trial and error, a lot of wasted pans of garbage that just didn't work out before we really started perfecting recipes. And so all of this just originally came from, I've got to find a way to feed my kids what they need. It was like desperate mom in the kitchen, let's figure this out. Yeah. And then once we did figure it out, we decided to share it with other people.
That's so awesome.
So I know you keep saying sugar. What about honey?
So, okay, that's the thing. Yeah, anything that spikes your insulin, anything that registers on the glycemic index, unfortunately, is sugar. But I'll teach you a little trick. Can I just teach you guys a little cooking trick real quick?
Yes, he needs to know.
So a little cooking trick. So the indoor secret here behind the doors of Kakes Keto, when you're proofing bread, you need some kind of a sugar to activate the yeast. You can use inulin, which is a fiber, but little trick of the trade, you can use organic raw honey, or you can use 100% organic maple syrup to activate your yeast, and it will leave no sugar post-bake. Wow. Just so you know. So there are some benefits to that. I know that during allergy season, a lot of people love honey, right? Especially with their elderberry syrups. So, I got my crunchy mom vibe on right now.
Yes.
But yes, if it does register on the glycemic index, if it does spike insulin, it will not keep you in ketosis.
Wow. Because I use it in my coffee, oatmeal.
Everything.
Yeah, I use honey rather than sugar.
Try allulose.
Okay.
Try allulose.
So we'll look
it doesn't have an aftertaste. Allulose is awesome.
Okay.
Or a monk fruit blend.
Texas. I'm not going to remember. One of the other things I wanted to talk about is you said you have a restaurant, and during the 2020 year, a lot of restaurants went under, a lot of mom and pop shops went under. What sustained y'all?
Well, I'm just gonna real talk here. God and God alone. I mean, 100%. I think I spent so much time on my knees, they're bruised forever. He did. He sustained us 100%, opened the doors to allow us to continue to work. One thing I believe is that God made me a fighter for a reason. And we're like, we have a dedicated gluten-free kitchen. There has to be people out there that still need dedicated gluten-free stuff. And when I say dedicated kitchen, I mean we are certified gluten-free, no risk of cross-contamination. So we just started getting out there and looking, and we met John Terry, He's the owner and CEO of KETO Foods. And KETO Foods has a coconut macaroon. It's the #1 selling keto macaroon on Amazon.
Wow.
And he needed a dedicated gluten-free kitchen to produce those. So we took on that contract during that time just to keep people working, to keep the ovens going.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, we're really
And
excited.
then that's where I think a lot of people use 2020 as a hindrance or a problem.
Yeah.
I love it because it gave us time to sit still
Yes.
and listen to God.
Absolutely.
Listen instead of keep jumping and running from here, running from there,
Yes.
doing this, doing that, where God is speaking to you. And a lot of businesses flourished
Yes.
and a lot of businesses started.
Yes, they did. And again, it's about meeting a need, right? When you come in just person to person here, when you come into any kind of a space economically and say, I want to dominate this space and I want to make as much money as possible, you are setting yourself up ultimately for failure. But when you come with a teachable spirit, with an open heart, filled with the Spirit, and you say, God, just use me. I think that there's two things that I pray every day. I was in your green room praying this before I came on. It's like, Lord, I just want to see what you're going to do through me today. Just use me. Use me to work through me. Use me and work in me and through me. I feel like when you approach business and life that way, when you treat your employees with respect, when you value your customers like their family, when you feed them the way you want to feed your kids, when you treat your employees with the respect that you want to be treated with, your business can't help but flourish. Because it's about meeting those needs, meeting the needs of your community, meeting the needs of your staff, and just generally be showing up every day and saying, you know what, I'm going to love people with food. We're going to carry out the Great Commission. We're going to do it one treat at a time, and that's it. And so, that's why I say, by the grace of God, we're still standing.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, because that's everybody has to have a purpose in life for something. And if you're, like you said, if you go in it trying to say, I'm going to make all this money,
Right.
that's not a sustainable purpose.
It's not a
because
purpose.
God put us here to serve others.
Absolutely.
You just have to find out your purpose to serve.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything that's equipped in you. Now, did you always wanted to be a baker when you grew up?
No, I've always loved to bake. Actually, prior to this, I worked in worship ministry. So I've always been passionate about music ministry. I had the opportunity to actually teach junior high and high school kids worship ministry arts at a private school in Illinois, and worked as the worship director for a church in that area as well. And I just assumed that that's the trajectory my life was going to continue going on. And then we came to Texas, and God just started opening up these different doors. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? 14 years I spent working in restaurants, and I was like, I'm never again. So every time I want to hear God laugh, I tell him my plans.
That's a good one.
It's the truth. So we're doing this, and we realize this is where we're at right now. We want to serve people. We want to love people. We're gonna keep growing this business. And honestly, we view this business as a ministry. It gives us an opportunity to expand our circle of influence, reach into the community, and to meet real needs and real people where they're at.
Wow. So how can we get in contact with you? You have a restaurant here in Houston, the Katy area.
Yeah, Katy area. So actually we just border West Houston off of I-10 and Fry Road. So the address is 918 South Fry Road. We're actually open Tuesday through Saturday right now, 10 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. Or you can reach out to us. Our Facebook handle is @HaveYourCakes with a K. That's @HaveYourCakes. Also, KakesKeto.com with a K, KAKES, KETO.com. And we do ship, by the way. So if you're watching this and you're not local, we do have flat rate shipping. Anything that doesn't need to be cold shipped anywhere in the United States.
Awesome.
Wow. Awesome. Well, thank you. We appreciate your time, sharing
Thank
your
you.
story, giving us more informed. I've learned a lot.
Yeah, I did because I didn't know. I just thought keto was lose weight. That was it.
And I just know your food tastes good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. It was an honor. I love sitting here chatting. I could talk to you guys all day. I feel like I've known you for years. This is great.
You're fine, sis. Guys, we'll be right back with us to sum all of this up, but we really thank Stefani Wille for showing up today. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Bring on the day. Trusting in God's instructions. Bring on the day. Conversations with Billy and Tequila. Time to bring on, bring on, bring on, bring on, bring on, bring on, bring on the day.
Welcome back to Reality Check with the Adolphs.
And guys, today's episode was very informative.
Yes.
Made me more hungry than I am now.
I know. And then it's like, I don't want to say what I want to eat because then I'm going to feel bad. But I'm human. She already said that we can make mistakes. But she did.
We learned some interesting facts about the ketogenic diet, keto, gluten-free, lactose-free, all of those things. I think where people fail to recognize and suggest is that you all the time don't want to lose weight. You just want to clean your body. And what did she say was health?
It's wellness. It's actually,
wellness.
Because the way that you eat and fuel your body actually helps your body project and perform better. So what you put in is definitely how you're going to perform. If you put in junk, you're going to perform pretty junky.
Yeah, and she made some actual good points that I'm going to take advantage of because I do have those back pains and those headaches that come out of nowhere and just always push it off to stress, a bad bed. All of those things went, and actually, bottom line, it's the diet. It's the things that I eat.
Yeah, that's definitely that because, you say your knees hurt, oh, it's going to rain. No, it's just the bad foods.
Yes, the junk that you're eating each day. But it's always good to cook your own food and to watch out for those processed things.
And don't be afraid to try. You may make a mistake at the beginning. Okay, how many times have you wasted food and just throw it away? If you messed up, try again. Try it till you perfect it. Or give Stephanie a call. She definitely will take care of it.
Yeah, I loved her transparency on that. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing. Yeah, I know that you've reached a lot of people in changing their diets and helping children because children are our future.
Yes.
Guys, thank you for watching this episode of Reality Check with the Adolphs, and we'll see you next week.
Husband and wife, partners in life, family and business.
Through the ups and downs, we've overcome. God as a witness.
From the household of faith to real estate to what's happening now.
We've got something to talk about. So for the next few moments, please allow us
to bring you something